Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your August 2020 horoscope for Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So first of all, starting off here with the major transits of August, we have a full moon in Aquarius, and this is a full moon in Aquarius, making this trine over to your ascendant. So starting off here, we entered into this month of August with these major changes going on here. Of course, this is Aquarius in your ninth house for those of you with Gemini rising. So a lot that is going on here in terms of wanting to explore and discover more as you're closing out this previous lunar cycle. Moving forward here on the 4th of August, Mercury did enter into the sign of Leo, which is sitting in your third house. So great position for Mercury. As for those of you with Gemini rising, you are very social, very intellectual, a lot of mental activity with Leo sitting there in your third house. And so as Mercury comes into your third house, this is a big time to connect with others, to bounce ideas off of others, to really start to socially interact more so, right? And this is coming off of that Mercury that sat in your second house, a lot of work in terms of your security, your self-worth. And now this is time to express your ideas, to put your thoughts and your creative inspiration out for others to connect to. Moving forward on the 7th of August, Venus did enter into the sign of Cancer. And so this is Venus sitting in your second house, where this is a big time where you have thought a lot about your self-worth, about your values, about your security, about your finances for some of you. And as Venus comes into here, into your second house, this is a big time of you have built up this self-worth, this value within yourself, and now it is time to express it. Now it is time to share your thoughts, your ideas, to put that message out there. Now, moving ahead here, we have Uranus stationing retrograde back in your 12th house. And keeping in mind that Uranus just came off of this square over to the full moon that took place in your 9th house. So there has been a lot of wanting to dive deeper and exploring into these deeper parts of yourself. And as Uranus stations retrograde here, this is a big opportunity to do this, where this is time for some deep introspection, some deep inner work of clearing those fears, those blocks out, so that you can move forward with your dreams and your visions, which is a big part of this August horoscope for those of you with Gemini rising, as this is a big time to get your thoughts, your ideas out there, to do business. There is a lot of activity here in terms of communication and thinking and creating. Moving forward on the 18th of August, we have a new moon in Leo. So now we are starting a new lunar phase. And remembering that this is a new moon in Leo coming off of a full moon in Aquarius, because we had that 3-part eclipse season that started off with a penumbral lunar eclipse in Sagittarius there on the 5th of June, which led us up to a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer on the solstice. And we had a second new moon following up on that eclipse season that ended there with that full moon in Aquarius. So this is our new moon in Leo here on the 18th. And this is a big time, once again, to get your ideas out there, to create something new, right? This new moon is always a great time to start a new project, to start a new business, to start on a new idea that you have, and especially with it sitting here in your third house. So big time to be creative, to start something fresh, something new here with this creative energy, this intellect, these ideas that are flowing through. Also on the 22nd, we are shifting seasons. The sun will enter into the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is a big part of your chart for those of you with Gemini rising, as you are mercurial. So you will have Virgo down in your 4th house. And for those of you who have Gemini sun, or Gemini moon, you will feel this very strongly, as well as this will square off your sun or moon with the sun in Virgo. So big time for those of you with Gemini rising to connect back to your true authentic self, to really connect in with your feelings, with your thoughts, with your ideas, with this sitting down in your fourth house. You must be fully connected and invested in what you want to create and build with all of this mercurial energy, all of this sun energy, this new moon that is taking place here in your third house. So big time to really connect back in with your heart, with yourself, and to really make sure that you are fully invested and connected. For those of you with a Gemini sun or moon, this sun in Virgo is a big time for you to be more practical, for you to take your thoughts and ideas and to actually put them down on paper, to put them into a practical routine or into an avenue where you are getting results. So this is a big time to be more responsible, to take more credit in your ideas and to make them into something that is actually practical, something that can actually be done here in the real world. Especially for those of you with Gemini moon, as that is a lot of energy. For those of you with Gemini moon, where you're doing a lot of feeling, a lot of thinking with that Gemini activity. But also for those solar Geminis out there, this is a big time to really organize your thoughts and put them into a practical avenue. So that was a look at the transits there for the month of August for Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. I'm also going to take a look at the cards as well. And for the month of August, I pulled from the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle deck and the Rider Tarot deck. So we're taking it a little bit old school, going back to our older decks that we used here earlier on in the channel. And the first card that comes up here for you, Gemini, is the Queen of Wands. So once again, we talked about that courage, that willpower, that value, that self-worth that you have built up there in your second house, with Mercury doing a lot of retrograding there, a lot of really revisiting. What are your values? What is your self-worth? Where are the areas that you need to be secure in? And with Venus coming in here on the 7th, this has been a time of really having self-confidence in yourself. Really understanding that value and that worth that you hold within yourself. And this has made it a big time to really express yourself. Again, we have all of this Leo energy that is activating your third house, where there's a lot of communication, a lot of ideas coming in, a lot of business dealings, a lot of wanting to network and connect with others and really get that creative expression out there. And remembering that we have all of this deep inner work and change that you've been going through here, that's been ongoing, that's going to continue here throughout this month with this Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in your 8th house retrograde. So even once Jupiter and Saturn enters into your 9th house, which we will see in December, you will still be working through this cycle that started here with this Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter retrograde sitting there deep in your 8th house, where there's been a lot of work in terms of connecting on an intimate level, in terms of your finances, and also in terms of deep transformation for some of you. So lots of ups and downs, lots of changes, lots of transformation for those of you here, especially with Gemini rising, but you will also feel this as well if you are Gemini sun or moon. Now, going along with that, we have the Ace of Wands. So once again, time to start something fresh with that new moon that is sitting there in your third house. New ideas, new visions, new dreams, new goals with this Wands energy that is all about creativity and self-expression. It's a great time for you to start something new, whether that is a business, whether that is a hobby, something new where you are taking your ideas and putting it into a practical avenue. So really once again, for those of you with Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and this will affect all three, Sun, Moon, or Rising, as we are having that major square over to the Sun in Virgo, that this is a big time to take practical action on your thoughts, on your ideas that come through. Next card here is the Three of Swords. So this is a big time of really working through those blocks, those sorrows, releasing and letting go. And we talked a lot about that with that Uranus that is sitting back in your 12th house. That this is time to free yourself, right? Uranus is this planet of liberation, of breakthroughs, of revelation. And it's sitting back in your 12th house where your subconscious fears and blocks are. So for those of you who have dealt with breakups, who have dealt with challenging moments in your life, big time of doing subconscious releasing, freeing yourself from these blocks, these worries, this stress that has plagued you in the past. It's a big time for releasing. And our last card here from the Rider Tarot deck is the Two of Wands in reverse. It's a big time to really decide what direction you're going in. And we talked a lot about this back in the month of June, where you have some decisions to make, Gemini. This is a big time to understand what path are you taking, right? And a lot of options coming through here with all of this Leo activation in your 3rd house. But there is a little bit of difficulty deciding where you are headed, especially with Neptune sitting up in your 10th house in retrograde, where there is a need for discernment of what is the true calling, what is the true purpose. Is this purpose realistic, or is it a fantasy? What is the vision? What is the goal? What are we creating? So big time to understand the path that you are taking as well. Now moving on to the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle deck. First card that comes through is Taurus, which is sitting back in that 12th house, your subconscious, your dreams, your imagination, your spirituality. And so it is, once again, a major time to remove these blocks, and Taurus being this very stubborn sign where many of you are trying to hold on to these blocks, to these old experiences that no longer serve you, overthinking, repeating the same thought process. So big time of cleaning and clearing that out, finding a better sense of security and self-worth, where you are truly valuing yourself and not falling back on these old blocks, fears, insecurities, worries, moments, stress, pain from the past, with this Uranus sitting back in your 12th house. Because remember that Uranus is debilitated in Taurus, where Uranus wants to free us, to liberate us, to give us breakthroughs, revelation, evolution, this change that helps us grow and go higher. Taurus wanting to keep us stable and secure. And so there is this desire to try to hold on to something that does not work, especially with this Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter retrograde sitting in your 8th house, where many of you are trying to hold on to an old relationship. Many of you are trying to hold on to an old experience that was transformative, that was healing in that moment. But now it is time to let go. Now it's time to release. Remember that that 8th house is the house of death. And so we're not talking about a physical death, but a death where you are releasing and letting go of what no longer serves you so that you can transform. That is that phase from that Scorpio energy to the Sagittarius energy of rising into the Phoenix. That death of Scorpio that's associated with the 8th house, and that higher consciousness that is associated with the 9th house, where we have Aquarius, right? Where many of you are meant to find this higher sense of spirituality and connection through your thoughts, through your ideas, through your imagination. So big time to let go and remove those blocks, those fears, those relationships, those experiences that are holding you stuck in place. Next card here is Sagittarius in reverse. And remember, for those of you with Gemini rising, that this is a North Node Gemini in your first house, South Node Sagittarius in your seventh house. So this nodal experience is strongly affecting your relationships and how you are connecting with others. Big time of really understanding your values, your worth within yourself. Letting go of these expectations of others, letting go of how others see you, letting go of these old experiences and relationships with others, and really learning how to connect back with yourself. Learning those values within yourself, learning how to have worth in yourself, how to believe in yourself with this Sagittarius energy. Remembering that Sagittarius is your shadow side, where there is a lot of lessons to learn here in terms of believing, expanding, going farther, and really going along for the ride, for the adventure in life. Not focusing too much on those details, overthinking, getting lost, because we do have Scorpio sitting in your sixth house, where there can be a lot of overthinking, a lot of worrying, a lot of stress, a lot of heartache from thinking too much. So there is a lesson here for those of you with Gemini rising, especially in really learning how to let go, learning how to really connect back to yourself. If you are having relationship difficulties or experiences, many of you are experiencing problems and issues where this partner is not communicating or is distancing themselves because they are working on themselves at this moment. So this is your time to really focus in on yourself, especially with Venus sitting in your second house, really focusing on what is of value and worth to you, not in others, because remember that we have this South Node sitting in your seventh house. And we had that full moon earlier on in the year that took place in your sixth house. And we have all of this Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter retrograde in your eighth house, where it is time to focus in on your own values, not in on the values of others. So big time to realize your self-worth, especially with our next two cards here. We have the Sun in reverse, focusing back in on yourself, right? The Sun is about self-expression. It's about dominance. It is about your actions, your behaviors that are seen through your self-expression, seen through your conscious awareness of who you are, right? That identity, that ego, that self-consciousness, right? That self-expression. And with this in reverse, it is a big time to look back in on yourself, to reflect in on yourself, to make sure, Venus, that you have this sense of value and worth in yourself, that you are fully loving and investing in yourself before putting anyone else before you. So big time to really focus in on yourself. For those of you here with Gemini rising, you may feel this as well if you are a Gemini sun or moon. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like and comment down in the description. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And I also want to mention that I am currently offering an astrology class that can be found in the Facebook private group, Astrology Class with Daquan Jones, or on Udemy, also on Patreon, where you will find other exclusive content. Starting next month, you will see that this channel will focus more in on weekly horoscopes, and monthly horoscopes will be found over on Patreon. So you will find exclusives in on that Patreon if you are interested in joining. I will leave the description for the Patreon, for the Udemy, and for the Facebook group down in the description, as well as the comments. Also, feel free to join the Facebook group Astro Metaphysical Love and Light. It is a free group on Facebook where you can share your spiritual wisdom, motivational advice, or simply just peace and love. So feel free to join. I will also leave the description for that down below in the description, as well as the comments. And I want to thank you all once again so much for joining. I hope you all have a great day, and I want to thank all the spirits who have joined in today to make this message possible. I will see you in the next video.